Alrighty, making a video. Take two. You don't know that, but anyways. Okay, so we're doing limits algebraically and numerically. So let's take a look at things. There is a lot of writing that is required for this. If you review the learning objectives, you'll see they all emphasize the notation is important. So that's what you're looking at here. So anytime you're doing the limits algebraically, you are going to show some algebra. The work in Excel has nothing to do with the limits algebraically. Now, if you need help with the arithmetic at the end, that's where you might do that in Excel, or not. But I'll show you Excel for this as well. So, two examples here. One, if you are answering this on a quiz sheet of paper or the test sheet of paper, then it's okay to put that equals over on the right and not have to rewrite the original information, as you can see there. If you are answering this on a blank sheet of paper, for example, then you should rewrite that original information before you start answering the limit question. So just to emphasize, that stuff. Now the other part, you'll notice my little arrows here, you do need to know when that limit notation is appropriate to write and when to stop writing it. So when you've got the X, you haven't done the limit. When you plug the number in and you don't have the X, that's when you stop writing that limit notation. Pretty easy. Alrighty, so the second one is, again, if you were writing this on your own notebook paper, you would rewrite the original information and then start writing out the answer for the limit, as you can see there. Again, every time you have the X, you're going to write that limit notation, or whatever the variable is. You're going to write the limit notation, but as soon as you plug that number in, you do not write that limit notation anymore. Like that. Alrighty. Example 3 is also algebraically, but it's a piecewise function. And anytime you're doing a piecewise function, whether there is a limit or it does not exist, you have to write these three parts out. The limit on the left, you saw that notation on the worksheet information for limits graphically. This one we just plug the number in there. Limit on the right, plug the number in. They're different, so conclusion in the third part right there. All right, let's take a look at Excel for those first three before we look at the limits numerically, just so you can see what I did. But again, this table that I've done in Excel is not a part of the answer for algebraically. It is just a way to double check that you did that, because there's a lot of ways to make mistakes in algebra. Maybe you're going to make a mistake with the typing in Excel, and when you see different answers, you might relook at it. One big mistake I get a lot of is this divide by zero. A lot of students just automatically go does not exist, and the divide by zero at the value you're using for the limit has absolutely nothing to do with the limit. As you can see here on the left and the right in our tables, that is what determines the limit. Now, even though in my table I'm doing left and right, for the algebraic part, I'm not writing that out. It's only the piecewise, or if it does not exist, I need to write those things out like that. All right, so let's take a look at the last one, limits numerically. This is where the table in Excel is how you should do it. Whether or not you can factor and cancel, you should not do algebra when it says limit numerically. Doing algebra means you don't know what you're doing and you're not going to get all the points. So limit numerically is plug it into Excel and then write that conclusion or answer on the sheet of paper. In this case, it does not exist because the left and right are different. Again, that has nothing to do with that divide by zero in the middle there. You'll notice one thing about my table that's different than the tables you're given in the lab manual. I go a little bit further. So you do want on the left and right to see a progression, but when you get to that, next to that value in the middle, just add a couple extra nines, a couple extra zeros to make sure, or do 4 values on the left and right. You don't want to just jump to the end, because I think it's helpful to see that progression each time so you get an idea. But sometimes if you just do 2 or 3 of the decimals, it might not be enough. So you can see I've got about 5 or 6 in different places. So just add a couple of extra there. That's the end of the examples, and let's cut this video short